Good evening. It's Fireplace Chat with Force. This is the second one, the second installment. I told y'all the last time we spoke that we was going to go into business. And to be thorough with you, I'm going to read some stuff so that you will know about the disaster loans assistance. Federal disaster loans. I'm going to click it, I'm going to read it so that people who have businesses, this is to help businesses. I'm going to speak about helping individuals also. So here we go. Disaster loan assistance, federal disaster loan. That's what I wanted. Sometimes you click something and their commercials come on, and this is not what I want. If you go to SBA.gov, they have something that's dealing with the coronavirus. The SBA provides low-interest disaster loans to help businesses and homeowners recover from declared disasters. The SBA provides low-interest disaster loans to help businesses and homeowners to recover from declared disasters. They put that twice. All right. I'm going to read something else it says. Another paragraph. So I reiterate it is because I'm reading a different paragraph which has some of the same words. SBA provides low-interest disaster loans to businesses of all sizes, private, nonprofit organizations, homeowners, and renters. SBA disaster loans can be used to repair or replace the following items damaged or destroyed in a declared disaster: real estate, personal property, machinery and equipment, and inventory and business assets. Now, dealing with the coronavirus, is in a state of disaster, so to speak, but it isn't a physical disaster. So that's why the SBA is helping out, because it's part of the stimulus situation. Now, let me see.
Well, what is the stimulus situation for those who just tune in and they have no idea what you're talking about?
Right, well, after this corona situation, you got them telling businesses to close, which in turn had some people laid off or just put to the side. The non-essential businesses had to close. Their staff sent home. Some businesses are too small and they don't generate the income to be able to say, okay, well listen, I'm gonna send everybody home and I'm still gonna pay you. They don't got it like that. So it's like, you're going home, good luck. So therefore, the government has came up with certain loans that they can give to businesses, and actually it's going to help them to help the payroll. And it's easy on my phone. Okay, here it is. Here's one of them. SBA to offer disaster assistance to small business amid COVID-19 impact. This is, what I'm reading is from a daily journal in Atlanta from 2 weeks ago. Tucson, Arizona. KOLD News 13. The U.S. Small Business Administration is offering low-interest federal disaster loans for working capital to Arizona small businesses suffering substantial economic injury as a result of COVID-19, announced by SBA Administrator Jovita Carranza. Now, that is specifically talking about Arizona, but it's applicable. I'm in New York. It's applicable in New York. The federal U.S. Small Business Administration is offering the low interest loans. They are. Read more. I'm going to see what else they're speaking about. And
So you mean if I have a small business, any kind of small business, whether I'm registered, I have to be registered, or?
well, they have an application that I actually filled out. And in that application, it asks your business designation. Sole proprietor, corporation, S
Right.
corporation, so on and so forth. And it asks for your EIN number. So you have to have an EIN, or if you're a sole proprietor, you're using your social security number. That's how you identify your business to them. One of the disaster reliefs is called an advance. And basically, with the advance, they're offering to give up to $10,000 in the form of like a grant, because you don't have to pay it back. You get the $10,000, and basically to help your business to recover from whatever losses that you sustained during this time. And I think they backed it up to like January 30th, saying that from January 30th on, businesses have been impacted by the COVID situation. Now, they have another package that's dealing with payroll, and I would like to find it so I can actually read it. Payroll assistance, I have to look for it so that I can give you the proper name so that you can look it up yourself. Payroll protection program. So anything that I tell you, you can double check so that you can make your best decision to do whatever you're going to do.
Most definitely.
Okay. Paycheck protection program loans. Let's see. PPP loans, Paycheck Protection Program. Now let's see if this is what I'm looking for. Business owner working at his restaurant. This shows a picture of a business owner working at his restaurant. Now, I'm going to read this to y'all. With stay-at-home orders in place across the U.S., revenues for the nation's 30 million small businesses have dried up, and many businesses have had to lay off employees. To aid these companies and their employees during the COVID-19 crisis, the Small Business Administration is offering small businesses a forgivable loan of up to $10 million each to cover payroll and some other costs. I'm gonna pause right there. A forgivable loan is basically saying that partial or all of the loan can be forgiven, and forgiven means wiped away. I'm gonna continue. A Paycheck Protection Program loan is a PPP loan, which the SBA classifies as a 7A loan, is part of the $2 trillion Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, and is called CARES, C-A-R-E-S, CARES Act, with $349 billion designated for the PPP. The loans feature a streamlined application process, less documentation, and fewer restrictions. If you're considering such a loan for your business, it's important to understand who does and doesn't qualify, how much you can borrow, and how forgiveness works, and other key details. Now, who qualifies for the PPP loan? Let us take a look. Any small business with fewer than 500 employees may be eligible. This includes small businesses, sole proprietors, S corporations, C corporations, LLCs, independent contractors, self-employed people, and private nonprofits. In addition, some nonprofits, tribal groups, and veteran groups are eligible. Restaurants and hospitality businesses may qualify if they have fewer than 500 employees per location. Details on the size standards and exceptions are on the SBA website. Ineligible businesses include those engaged in illegal activities. Oh yeah. Owners more than 60 days delinquent on child support obligations, farms and ranches, sex businesses, lobbyists, and gambling establishments. The casino can't help you. Do venture capital backed startups qualify for PPP loan? There is uncertainty about whether startups with venture capital backing qualify for a PPP loan. Startups, by definition, tend to have far fewer than 500 employees, but in the existing framework of the SBA's 7A program, startups backed by venture capital firms may be required in their application for a PPP loan to count both their own employees and those of the VC firm and its other portfolio companies. That may get you beyond the 500. That could push the employee count of the startup's PPP loan application over 500, effectively disqualifying it. As a general rule, though, such affiliation rules only apply if the VC firms, which is venture capitalist firms, owns more than 50% of the startup, or if it exerts operational control over the startup. So if you're using a venture capital and like a Shark Tank, and they own over 50%, then you gotta count their employees elsewhere. The National Venture Capital Association, NVCA, has written to the SBA and the Treasury Department urging them to include venture capital-backed startups in the program. It argues that such companies are often incorrectly presumed to be controlled by their minority VC investors, but that is typically not the case. The NVCA has also issued detailed guidance on the question for its members, detailing the types of operational control that could potentially trigger the affiliation rule. Terms of a PPP loan. The government's efforts to help businesses has resulted in generous terms for PPP loans. Borrowers can receive 2.5 times their monthly payroll costs incurred during the year before the date the loan is made. For example, if your monthly average payroll in the last 12 months is $10,000, you may borrow up to $25,000. The maximum any business can borrow is $10 million. The money can be used for payroll, no more than $100,000 annual salary per employee, as well as benefits, including paid sick leave and insurance premiums, and taxes on compensation. Up to 25% of the loan may be used by the business to cover mortgage, interest, rent, utilities, and interest on pre-existing loans. The covered expenses have to be incurred from February 15, 2020 through June 30th, 2020. Businesses have to have been in business by February 15, 2020. So if you started your business on February 16 or sometime in March when you heard money was getting ready to float around? Out of luck. Any portion of the loan that is not forgiven will carry an interest rate of 1%. That's outrageously low. And is due to be paid back within 2 years. However, payments for the first 6 months can be deferred. There is no prepayment penalty. So you can borrow, but you got to pay it back within 2 years. Oh.
Now, are they giving any kind of special leniency on this, or do you have to do the credit check and it all depends on this and that and the third, and most of us probably won't qualify? Is there anything to say about that?
What I have read earlier is the streamlined paperwork, and they're lax in what they're asking for. PPP loan forgiveness. Borrowers will have their loans forgiven if they use the money for designated expenses. Participants are eligible for loan forgiveness for the amount spent over the 8 weeks after receiving their loan. The amount of forgiveness is equal to the total amount of payments for payroll, mortgage interest, rent, and utilities. It is anticipated that no more than 25% of the forgiven amount may be for non-payroll costs. So basically what they're trying to say is that 75% of the money they're giving you should be for payroll, mortgage interest, rent, and utilities.
And you're going to have to show that, I'm sure.
Yeah, because if you're going to get it forgiven,
Right.
like 75%, that's a lot of whatever.
So you can't just take it and pew.
Just give them written receipts and crayon. Like, this is for the rent was paid. It's like, oh yeah, come on. Story continues. Let me click further. Because this is about money, y'all. Like, the first way to mess up is by not even attempting to get the money. The second way is that if you actually go about looking to do it and you don't follow the instructions and you just muck it up, then you put yourself in a bad position. But you should definitely, if you have a small business of any kind, they already said it as far as even sole proprietors, independent contractors, okay, all right, I had to find the place where I ended. The amount of forgiveness, I said that already, but I'll read it again since I started. The amount of forgiveness is equal to the total amount of payments for payroll, mortgage interest, rent, and utilities. It is anticipated that no more than 25% of the forgiven amount may be for non-payroll costs. To get the entire amount of the loan forgiven, the entire amount, the full-time employee headcount cannot decline, nor can employers cut salaries or wages. So they're saying if you had 10 workers before it started, you gotta have 10 workers when you get this money. And you can't, if they're getting paid $15 an hour, they gotta be getting paid $15 an hour. You can't say, well listen, I'm gonna keep y'all 10, but I'm cutting your salaries down to 12. So, just something to think. Look at it like this. Look at it like this. If the government is giving you money and they're going to wipe the slate clean of it for you helping the people that work for you, why don't you do it? Because it ain't coming out your pocket. It's you helping the people that's holding your business down, and in return, I'm pretty sure they would be at least a little bit thankful because you're putting money in their pocket that didn't come out of your pocket and you don't gotta pay it back. So you're helping them, they're helping their families. It's like a camaraderie thing, a brotherhood thing. Like, let's help. If the government's gonna give me money to help feed y'all family, and I don't have to pay it back, that's me just getting some money to get to y'all. Like, wow, why not? The SBA will use a sliding scale to reduce the amount eligible for forgiveness depending on how many employees are retained. If businesses rehire laid off workers by June 30th, they won't be penalized. Another provision of the program allows borrowers who already have disaster assistance loans to defer payments through December 31st. This is an automatic deferment. Borrowers don't have to do anything to qualify for it. So you don't have to file any paperwork or none of that.
And that's a disaster assistant loan?
Yes. The SBA has a summary of loan terms here. Small businesses and sole proprietorships were able to apply for PPP loans starting April 3rd. Independent contractors and self-employed individuals, including freelancers, can apply beginning April 10th. So April 10th hasn't come yet. So anybody that's a freelancer, self-employed individual, or independent contractor, get ready. The program ends June 30th. Though borrowers are encouraged to apply as soon as possible. And this is how I look at it. And I might be incorrect, but get your application out there ASAP, because when it's the new program and they're just giving money away, first come, first serve. Like, it's easier to get it when it's new, and as they are going along, I'm not saying this happens with this, but this is something that habitually happens when new things come into place. As they're doing it, they're learning, they're experiencing certain things, and they're making changes. And you don't want to be the one that comes June 29th to sign up, and they're like, well, listen, you got to change this, because they done, of their experience of dealing with other people, is like, listen, this is how we help make things better or more efficient or whatever. So get it in as soon as possible, while if they're real lax at the ways, the criteria. Okay, borrowers can apply to any SBA approved lender, including participating commercial banks and credit unions. A list of approved lenders can be found on the SBA website. Note that many lenders may limit eligibility to those businesses with whom they have a pre-existing relationship, such as a previous loan or business checking account. So if your bank, if you have money in a bank or a credit union, you should find out if they are one of the participating commercial banks and credit unions, and if so, then you should apply through them, because they already deal with you. It makes it easier. They know you, less stuff you have to prove. Like if you have your business banking checking account at Capital One, then apply to Capital One. Because when you say your business EIN, they already know it, because they got it. You're like, well, you're not lying. And they know what type of money you're dealing with, back and forth, whatever, you know. So it makes less stuff having to be proved, because they already have the information. The program also provides for waivers that would normally be applied to SBA loans. Those include waivers for fees charged to borrowers and lenders, as well as prepayment fees. A requirement that borrowers also have credit elsewhere is likewise being waived for this program. There are no requirements for collateral or personal guarantees. I'm going to repeat that. A requirement that borrowers also have credit elsewhere is likewise being waived for this program. There are no requirements for collateral or personal guarantees. So you don't have to say, well, listen, I got this over here, or I own this house, I have this building. You don't have to say that. You might not have nothing, but they're not gonna ask you if you have anything. Businesses can complete an online application on the SBA website. The SBA estimates the application process should take about 2 hours and 10 minutes. However, this is assuming all required documents are available. It may take a few days to gather the necessary paperwork. The SBA says applications will be evaluated the same day they are received. However, details about how this will work are not finalized, and loan application volume is expected to be heavy. Now, the application I did online was not for this. It was for the advance, and they said the same thing about it. Should take about an hour, 2 hours and 10 minutes. It took me less than an hour to do. And I didn't have to upload no paperwork or nothing. I just had to answer questions about my business, the size, the structure, EIN, so on and so forth. The Payroll Protection Program aims to loan up to $349 billion to small businesses and independent contractors who maintain employee count during the COVID-19 crisis. The lending programs uses a streamlined, low documentation process and promises quick turnaround. And if qualifying employers don't lay off employees or cut wages, the loans can be forgiven, effectively making this a grant. Now, one of the things that the advance did, which this probably does the same. Oh yeah, it did, because I actually filled out an application, I just didn't submit it. I filled out a paper application, but I could do it over online. They ask you for your banking information. So if you give your account number and routing number and they grant you it, they do a deposit right into your account. The PPP loan program is one of many government programs to help small businesses, and private initiatives such as Facebook grants are also available. I didn't know about Facebook grants, so someone was telling me that there's other grants out there, but they have they're more limited. Facebook is not giving out $349 billion. I'm pretty sure of that. And someone else told me about Verizon. I'm not sure if that's the truth or not, but someone else mentioned Verizon. There may be other grants out there, but by the time you hear my voice, they probably filled up applications over the roof, because someone told me that they had like a window, like you have to have it done within this time and submit it, and after that we're not taking it anymore. So I understand that. Now, tips for business owners during the coronavirus crisis. Many financial advisors specialize in working with business owners. Finding the right financial advisor that fits your needs doesn't have to be hard. Oh, this is a basic commercial. Smart Assets free tool matches you with the financial advisors in your area in 5 minutes. If you're ready to be matched with local advisors that will help you achieve your financial goals, get started now. Now, in addition to the new PPP loan, the SBA also has other loan programs to help small businesses, including economic injury disaster loans. Now, I'm going to go into that next, because the money is bigger, a large amount of money. So let's go into that. Economic Injury Disaster Loans, EIDLs. The Small Business Administration's SBA Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program can provide as much as $2 million of financial support to small businesses and private nonprofit organizations that encounter certain declared disasters. The Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security, which is the CARES Act, expanded the EIDL program to make it easier for borrowers dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic to get a loan. So they made it easier. The application process is fairly simple as it's available directly through the SBA's website. That's sba.gov. What is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan? EIDL. An EIDL is a loan of up to $2 million with the maturity of up to 30 years. Now, the one that I just spoke about, they said it would lend up to 10 million. But guess when you have to pay it back? Within how long?
30 years.
2 years.
Oh no,
The one
that's too much money.
The one that I just spoke about.
Yeah, how you guys supposed to do that?
Up to $10 million, 2 years. Let's look at it like this. If you're a small business, now you can be a small business, meaning small, you don't have a lot of staff, but you're making a lot of money. Yeah, that's possible. And they have businesses like that. But most of the small businesses are small businesses, not only small in size, but the revenue isn't like that. So if you're good enough to borrow $10 million and get some of it forgiven for payroll, believe me, if you got less than 500 employees, and I'm talking about significantly less, significantly less.
Like 11.
Like 11. $10 million is not going to be mostly for damn payroll. Like, I don't know what type of people you're paying. You're not. So that means 2 years, you're going to have to pay the rest of that back.
Mm-hmm.
So looking at this, that's why I wanted to explain this, because this 30 years, most businesses, you have people, regular people, that can get you $2 million in 30 years. Like, get a payment plan. It's like a mortgage. So let me get into it. An EIDL is a loan of up to $2 million with the maturity of up to 30 years that's designed to help carry businesses through tough times caused by disaster, such as the COVID-19 pandemic. That can carry me for enough tough times. These funds are intended to cover payroll and other operating expenses that the business could have otherwise met in a non-disaster economy. Funds cannot be used for refinancing, making loan payments on other federal debts, to repair physical damages, to pay IRS tax penalties, or to pay out dividends, as if someone was invested in your business and you're trying to pay it out. Mm-hmm. While loan amounts may range up to $2 million, specific loans depend upon the amount of economic injury that a business has suffered. This amount is determined by the SBA on a case-by-case basis after businesses apply. So, depending on your business, whatever you were specializing in, they will determine how much injury you suffered and how to put a value on how much it's worth. Mm-hmm. Interest rates on EIDLs can be as high as 3.75 for companies and 2.75 for nonprofits. That's still low. On the interest scale of things, that's low interest. Principal and interest payments of EIDLs can be deferred for up to 1 year. Typically, EIDLs are available to businesses and private nonprofits. Emergency EIDL grants and advances. This is what I applied for yesterday. The CARES Act also includes $10 billion worth of funding for the SBA to provide businesses with quickly accessible advances of $10,000. Businesses that use these funds to help pay for paid leave, payroll, COVID-19 related costs, and more will see the advance become a grant, meaning you don't have to pay it back. Once this happens, the business will no longer need to pay back the money they received. It'll be forgiven. Emergency EIDL grants are available within 3 days for those that apply with the SBA. Now, 3 days. In the application, they said will take about 2 hours and 10 minutes. It was 4 pages. It took me less than an hour to do it. They ask you for your banking information, and it says 3 days. Basically, in 3 days, if everything goes well, you have a direct deposit right into your business account of up to $10,000, and then you do what you need to do with it, with your business-wise. Grants can be used by small businesses for a number of purposes. These include providing paid sick leave, payroll, meeting production costs, paying rent or mortgages on business spaces, and anything else to help with the continuity of the business. Anything to help to keep you running. In order to be eligible, companies must have been in business by January 31st, 2020. These grants are available to all businesses and organizations that are eligible for EIDLs. Who is and who isn't eligible for an EIDL? Well, let's take a look. Let's take a look at what they say. In the past, EIDLs have been available only to small businesses and private nonprofit organizations. They are also accessible on a solely case-by-case basis to businesses affected by more specific business disasters in a particular state or city. As a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and the CARES Act, the EIDLs are now available to small businesses with 500 employees or less, nonprofits, tribal businesses, cooperatives, employee stock ownership loans, employee stock ownership plans, ESOPs, sole proprietors, and independent contractors. Now, a sole proprietor is a person that starts a business on his own or her own, and instead of doing a corporation or LLC or what have you, they just get a business certificate, and they're doing business as whatever the name of the store is or the business, because sometimes the stores are actual brick and mortar. Sometimes people go online, but the whole point is the business and the person are still the same entity. If you do something and get sued, the business money, you don't have to have a business account. It could be straight up in your account. Independent contractors are more like a person, like a handyman, or someone who does, like how sometimes you see people that they will stand by construction sites or somewhere like a Home Depot or something waiting to get picked up. You want me to do this, you want me to lay down your carpet or whatever. They're independent contractors. They have the skill to do the trade, but they are not affiliated with the actual business.
Mm-hmm.
There are some specific things that may disqualify a business for EIDL eligibility.
Uh-oh.
Applicants will be turned away if they are engaged in illegal activities, are an agricultural enterprise, derive revenue from sexual depictions or products, derive more than a third of their annual revenue from gambling activities, are in the business of lobbying, or are a government entity. How to apply for an EIDL? Applying for an EIDL is quite straightforward. You need to visit the SBA website first and note what type of business you're operating. You then need to verify that you aren't disqualified for a loan based on the eligibility criteria above. Following this, applicants must complete and enter basic information about their business, such as operating expenses, revenue, business names, contact information, and employee information. You will then note whether you'd like to receive a grant, along with listing your bank account details. The SBA typically takes 18 to 21 days to process the loan, and then 2 to 5 days to disperse the funds. effect of the coronavirus on EIDLs. The CARES Act was signed into law by President Trump on March 27. This bill provides economic stimulus in a ton of ways, including for EIDLs. The bill boasts $562 million to ensure that the SBA has the resources to continue to distribute EIDLs to affected businesses. Loans are still capped at $2 million, and interest rates and deferred periods remain the same. However, organizations that are eligible to receive an EIDL have been heavily expanded. The Paycheck Protection Program, PPP, and EIDLs. The Paycheck Protection Program, PPP, has $350 billion worth of funding allocated by the CARES Act. It provides eligible businesses, sole proprietors, independent contractors, and self-employed individuals with no interest loans of 2.5 times their average monthly payroll cost, excluding salaries of $100,000 or more, up to $10 million. The PPP will forgive businesses up to 8 weeks' worth of its payroll costs, rent, mortgage interest, and utilities. Loan terms include a 1% interest rate that the government covers, a 2-year maturity period, and a 6-month payment deferral. The PPP ties into the EIDL program because businesses and organizations that receive EIDLs before June 30th, 2020 will have the option to refinance their EIDL into a PPP loan. If the business receives an emergency EIDL grant, that amount would also be subtracted from the amount forgiven through the PPP. Bottom line, let's get to the bottom line. The bottom line is economic injury disaster loans, or EIDLs, are built to help businesses and organizations get through any type of economic crisis or disaster. They allow businesses to continue functioning as they weather an economic storm. In the case of the global coronavirus pandemic, the EIDL program now serves as an even more robust program. The development of the emergency EIDL advance and grant, along with the ability for borrowers to refinance their EIDLs into PPP loans, can help to create a climate where more businesses are able to keep their doors open and employees on payroll. Now, that being said, if you are a business, if you are independent contractor, if you are sole proprietor or self-employed, you need to really check and see if you need some money. Check and see if that could be useful for you, because this could actually be a dream come true for some business owners, some private contractors. You could actually have your little kickstart. It can get, even though you was already in business, a lot of businesses and people that are business savvy, they have the skills, they have the know-how, but they don't have the sources, they don't have the funds, they don't have the revenue to get them where they need to be. So sometimes you need that extra boost to be able to really do business. And what I mean by that is, a lot of times when people have limited funds, they take limited risks. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But a lot of times you are able to get more if you're willing to risk more. So when you do have that bankroll, that credit line, or the actual cash behind you, where you can say, well, listen, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna, depending on your trade, your field, you can say we're getting ready to introduce this product. We're going to introduce this product, or we're going to increase production. You know, whatever you're doing, you can step it up because you have the money to step it up. And that could actually help you to make more profit, because at this time, a lot of prices are fluctuating. What I mean by that is, for instance, like how people was hand sanitizer, tissue prices was going up. Gas prices is going down. So that's what I mean by fluctuating. Certain things are going up, other things are going down. Depending on what you need, like gas, you need gas, it's a good thing. You need tissue, it's another thing. But it's fluctuating. So depending on whatever field you're in, you might be in a field where the stuff that you're making or the service that you're giving is in a higher demand, so the price can go up. Then it's like, well, listen, you can roll out more inventory, or you can, if you're providing the service, you could put out more ad space. You could buy more ads because people are looking. And therefore, you could bring in more revenue. So it's kind of simple as that. Like sometimes you need to spend more money to make more money. But if you don't have it, how can you spend it?
And also for the people who are just making it, trying to make it, struggling, that'll help them also.
Yep. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about is dealing with people, not businesses. So I put in stimulus checks. Stimulus checks, IRS came up. So let's go. And okay. Coronavirus. $1,200 stimulus check. And an ad just popped up. Let me get rid of this ad. See if you're eligible. How to get your money from the IRS. The first 2020 stimulus checks should start to arrive around the middle of April. And eligible U.S. taxpayers, I'm trying to open the page up some more. Eligible U.S. taxpayers may receive up to $1,200 from the federal government as part of a $2 trillion relief package. As many as 9 in 10 U.S. households may qualify to receive an economic impact payment, as the IRS calls it, to ease the economic blow caused by the coronavirus pandemic. Now, I can't open the page up all the way so I can scroll down. What the devil is going on? It's like it won't. Hold on, let me do this. scroll down. Hold up, let me see. Because I can't get to that part of the page where. Let's try this again. And I just got rid of it. Let's try it again though. I'm gonna try it again.
What do you put it in there?
Huh?
What do you put it in?
I just put 1200.
No, what's the website?
Huh?
What's the website you're on?
Oh, I'm on Google.
You just put 1200, 1200 what?
Hold on. Okay, 1200 stimulus plan, and then all types of keywords you could use to $1,200 coronavirus stimulus checks. See if you're eligible. This is where I was at. So this should be more even on the page. Nope, it comes to the side again. Let's see. See, when it first starts, it has the thing on the side so I can move it. All right, so that's what I need. All right, now I can scroll down. Here's what you need to know. All right, if you're eligible, the IRS and Treasury Department will offer to deposit the check directly into your bank account. This includes people who regularly receive Social Security payments. You go ahead now. In addition to the payments for individuals who meet the requirements, the new economic stimulus law includes help for people who are unemployed or own student loans, as well financial support for small businesses and their employees. Not everyone will receive the $1,200 check. Oh no. Not everyone will receive the $1,200 cash payment cap, and some won't get a stimulus check at all. No. So how do you find out how much you can expect, how to get your stimulus payment, and when you will get it? Keep reading. We'll tell you. We'll also continue to update this story as developments occur. Here's more information on how you should spend the money when you get it, how to avoid COVID-19 scams, and how else you get financial relief during a coronavirus outbreak. How much stimulus money you get depends on your taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it depends on how much money you actually get. The total amount of your stimulus check will be based on your adjusted gross income, or AGI, from your 2019 federal tax filing, or if you haven't filed yet this year, your 2018 filing. Most people didn't file already because a lot of people wait till April 15th, so they go by last year's. And to some people, that's actually would be better because some people made more money this year than they made last year. They didn't file it yet. So if you filed your 2019 federal tax return, you can find that figure on line 8B of the 2019 1040 federal tax form. It's line 7 on the 2018 1040 tax form. If you haven't filed this year, don't worry. The U.S. government has delayed the due date for 2019 taxes to July 15th as a result of the coronavirus. This is who is eligible for stimulus payment. Now, this is where it gets funky. The amount you receive depends on your total income in 2019 or 2018. If you qualify, you'll receive one payment. Here's who qualifies. If you're single, U.S. resident, and have an adjusted gross income less than $99,000. That's a lot of people in the U.S. that fits that category. If you file as the head of a household and earn under $146,500. If you file jointly without children and earn less than $198,000. Read on for how your payment is calculated and how much you can expect. You can also look at this calculator from the Washington Post. Read on. How much you'll get as a single taxpayer. A single U.S. resident must have a Social Security number and an AGI under $75,000 to receive the full amount of $1,200. The sum decreases as your AGI goes up. If your adjusted gross income reaches $99,000, you won't be eligible for a penny of that $1,200. Heads of household. If you file as a head of a household, you will get the full $1,200 payment if your AGI is $112,500 or less, with the amount decreasing till you reach $146,500. So you could be a single taxpayer, but you're the head of a household, meaning that you have some kids. They don't have to be babies. You're just the head of a household. You got people living with you, because they don't even have to be your kids. They're part of your household. Couples filing jointly. Married couples filing jointly without children